Hey, Miguel Iturrate back here on the MMA Museum, and we're back on another one of our long form interviews. I am with black belt jiu-jitsu legend Murilo Bustamante today. Murilo, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, Miguel. I'm
Good.
glad to be here.
I'm glad to see you again. It's definitely going to be fun talking. Um, Murillo, you're one of the original Carlson Gracie guys. So talk about the formation of that team under Carlson, because I think of you, Sperry, Liborio, Bebeo, and then there were some other lightweight guys like Zinho and things like that. Talk about that team and how you guys formed under Carlson Gracie, what year and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I arrived in Carson in 1977. I was a kid. I was 10 to 11 years old, and I started training like a hobby. I didn't compete at all. I just want to, do a sport. But my sport at the time was surfing. I used to surf more than anything else. So, but I like to train. I follow the path of my older brothers, and they took me to surf. They took me to train jiu-jitsu, and and when I was a teenager, then I started to compete, and I realized how good it was. I was younger. I kind of spent time with the mat training, but it kind of uh, I like it, but and it was something else. It wasn't the sport for me. But when I started to compete, I realized
You got the
that I could
fever.
do well. Yeah, I got the fever. I
Now,
got the
so
fever, man.
so
That's
let
the word.
yeah, so let me ask you, sir. You seem, and you always have been, a calm guy, and a lot of jiu-jitsu guys are crazy guys. Like, were you involved in the street fights and challenge matches and stuff when you were coming up?
Not that much, street fights just my whole life, just a feel like, you know, not a kind of guy that, when I was younger, I was, was insecure kid and, shy. So sometimes I fight, but not often. Like, in a year I fight once.
Okay,
I didn't get involved in fight that much. So
okay,
and jiu-jitsu helped me to keep my behave,
in
and the
control.
posture of, I learned that I shouldn't fight on the street, and I try to avoid the most I can. So now I try to avoid the most I can to fight on the street. It's not good for anyone.
Now, what was Carlson's thinking on that? Because a lot of, like, it seems like the other side of the Gracie family, like Hoyler's also very calm, but like Hickson was involved in the street fights, and then obviously Helson has a reputation for a lot of street fights. What was Carlson's attitude towards that, and did it happen? Did you guys have teammates that were out there brawling?
Yeah, some of my teammates older than me, they used to get involved in street fights. But Carson didn't like that much. Carson wasn't the one that gives support for that. He kind of talked to them, to the guys to calm down and behave, and he didn't push people to fight on the street at all.
Yeah,
Wasn't
it's
good. He knew before than us that it's not good for the sport.
yeah, it's
You
crazy
know.
because if you
So,
think about it, yourself, Sperry, Liborio, you're all very calm guys. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm
So
gonna tell a story.
go ahead.
I'm gonna tell a story about that. That's a funny story. Before the challenge between Jiu-Jitsu and Luta Livre, some guys from older guys from the Carson, like guys more graduated than me. Not all, but some of them. They were afraid to Carson let me fight because they said Murilo is not this kind of guy. He's too polite. He's too nice. He won't perform during the Vale Tudo fight because he doesn't have street fights. He doesn't used to fight on the street. So and they were very worried about that. But the point is that Vale Tudo MMA is not a street fight, it's a competition. And because I used to compete a lot in jiu-jitsu, it helps me it helped me a lot when I have to, step on the ring and really fight in the real situation, like, Vale Tudo at the time. So it was funny, because these guys, they meet me today and they tell me, hey, I wasn't the guy that told Castle don't let you fight because you were too nice, And then after that, I became a professional fighter, and I traveled the world fighting. That
Yeah.
was funny.
Yeah, and you became a champion.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. Now, why in that Gracie challenge that you're talking about, I think 1991, where yourself, Waleed, Fabio Gurgel all fought in a ring against Luta Livre guys. Why was that Carlson's team and not Hickson and the team of other jiu-jitsu, the other side of the family, where they seem to be brawling more, like the famous fight with Hugo Duarte and Hickson Gracie and Hoyler fighting
Eugenio Tadeu.
Yeah, Tadeo. So why did they not represent? Why was it Carlson's team?
Yeah, Carlson step ahead of when the guys invade a jiu-jitsu tournament. So, and Carlson step in, like Carlson and some guys like Marcelo Berg as well. We step in to talk to them, and we put them in the room. I was there as well, and we start to talk. And Carlson was the first guy to be, leading the group, and Hickson was living in US. Hoyler, I don't think so. I don't remember if Hoyler was living already outside Brazil, but for sure, Hickson was. And Carlson, he lead the group.
Carlson was the leader.
And yeah, he was a leader. And, and I told him, because I was one of the main black belt of his academy, competing, winning most of the tournaments. And I told him I was ready to defend jiu-jitsu. And I brought Marcelo Bering to the team, introduced Marcelo to Carlson. I know. I mean, Marcelo, Carlson already knew Marcelo because Marcelo used to fight against his students. But Marcelo he became my friend. So then I brought him. And then Marcelo brought Fabio Gurgel.
Okay.
And then we start training together, some guys outside Carlson Academy used to train with us, like Castelo Branco, Roberto Traven. And so it was a big, jiu-jitsu community got together for this, We saw guys from different teams come to train with us, to support, to help, to push. So it was a very interesting time that I didn't see it, nothing like that before. And I was already, it was 91.
Yeah.
I started training 77. It was impossible that happened before. I think it was the first time that the community of jiu-jitsu stick together for one cause. Everybody was in one focus to beat Luta Livre.
Yeah, that's very interesting because you mentioned names a lot of people don't know, but Marcelo Bering, I believe, his family also, they went and took jiu-jitsu to Europe, right? Because I think that's where maybe Fabricio Verdun was their student. Is that one of them?
I think Fabricio was a student of Silvio Bering, his brother.
Okay.
And one of his students is Mauricio. I forgot his last name. They call him Maurição.
Okay.
Super nice guy, one of the best friends of Marcelo, and student of Silvio and Marcelo, and Rickson as well. So Rickson teach everybody from the family, Silvio, Marcelo, Mauricio, all those guys. And Jadun came after that, I think, under Mauricio and Silvio.
Okay, very interesting. So yeah, a big branch when they went to Europe and taught, and then you mentioned another legendary old fighter guy, a tough guy, Castelo Branco.
Yes, Costello was a monster. He fought in Russia against, I forgot his name. It was
Uh,
a very tough fight.
Vovchanchin?
But I think it was Vovchanchin.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was a very tough fight. And he hurts his shoulder and I keep fighting. He was a monster.
yeah,
Uh, we fought one of the best fights I had in BJJ was against him in '94 in Brazilian National, and he was a monster, and super nice guy. Example in and out the mat, and he helps a lot when during this time he used to go there to train with us. He was a big dude, with a lot of skills, so he helps a lot.
for sure, for sure. I remember getting tapes of his fight in Russia. That was just amazing stuff. Um, so talk about that challenge day. What Luta Livre? Those guys, some of them like Johil is also like more or less a calm guy, but some of them were pretty crazy. Like Taddeo, it was pretty crazy. Hugo Duarte was pretty crazy. What was the atmosphere like in that day? Were you nervous or were you calm for the competition? And were there other problems besides just the fighting in the ring?
Yes, I was very confident during the training. I was training by Carson, and Carson he knows everything. He was very well rounded. He was able to boxing and play jiu-jitsu, takedowns, everything. And he let us, all the team. He gave us a lot of confidence. And he trained because the fight was postponed a lot. So it started to happen in April, May, this challenge, and we fought in August,
Okay.
August 31, 31st. So we trained for 4 months, And when I arrived the fight, we were very well trained and very confident, Of course, it was my first fight, and I was anxious, nervous, of course. When I arrived the arena, I was very nervous. But after getting we get in the locker room, I start to calm down and I stay very calm the whole process. So the tournaments that I fought before, BJJ tournaments, helped me a lot because at the time it was a big rivalry against the teams. So Gracie Maita against Carson, against Barra Gracie. So it was a big rivalry and a lot of, noise and so adrenaline. So it helped me to deal with the adrenaline of the day. So I didn't feel any nervous, I don't feel more nervous, I don't feel anything. I was completely calm.
Okay. Obviously, the history
I
says,
mean, I was completely calm the time of the fight, but
yeah.
before, when I arrived the arena and the day before, the day of the fight, I was very anxious and nervous, but when they start the fight, I was completely calm.
Okay. How about after the fight? Because obviously we know now that Jiu-Jitsu won 3-0. And how was the reaction from Luta Livre? Were they accepting? Were they honorable, or were there problems? Were there crazy guys acting up? What was the story there?
No, with me, I never had any problem with them, After the fight, I went to the locker room, shake Marcelo Mendes, my opponent hands, and, because after the fight, I couldn't do it because the young guys, they invade the ring and, and make big party after my fight.
Yeah.
And, I didn't have time to talk to my opponent. So I'd like to let the things clean. Like before everything, I'm a sportsman. I always consider myself a sportsman. So it wasn't personal. It was a challenge between disciplines. I got the, opportunity and the honor to represent Jiu-Jitsu. But for coincidence, my opponent was a brother, one of my friends that trained with us in Carson. So it was like a little bit uncomfortable situation, but I didn't hate him. So, I always, but after the tournament, I think the Luta Livre calmed down. Marcelo tried to fight Hugo because Marcelo Bering didn't fight at the day because he got infection in his elbow. And he tried to meet Hugo to fight, even on the street, but it didn't happen. And in 95, we were organizing a fight that I supposed to fight Hugo Duarte in a
You.
big, yeah, me,
Okay.
in a big arena here in Rio, but it didn't happen because the organization couldn't, the producer couldn't do it. So, it didn't
Sure.
happen.
Sure. Now, Hugo, he represented Lucha Libre even in UFC. He went and fought and things like that. He was much bigger than you. Obviously, you were ready with no problems for the weights.
No, I used to fight, the absolute class in jiu-jitsu. I used to fight big guys, so I didn't. The difference of weight didn't scare me, So that's why I fought Tom Erickson. The year later, I was supposed to fight in '95, Hugo, and then '96 I fought a guy even bigger than him. So, Tom
Yeah.
Erickson was a huge guy.
Yeah, for sure.
So big guys never scare me. And I mean, in '96, I fought a guy bigger than me with Joe Charles. He was,
Yeah, 260
maybe
pounds.
200, yeah, 260, 280 pounds. So he was bigger, heavier than me. But, for me, it was no problem.
Okay. Fascinating. Fascinating. So with the jiu-jitsu and lucha libre, there was always that rivalry. It extended into Pentagon combat. Now, the Pentagon combat saw, we know Tadeo and Hoyler had fought in the street, and now Henzo took the challenge of fighting Tadeo in the main event, and that was chaos. But you were already making an international name for yourself. You had fought Erickson already. You won this tournament, and you fought Jerry Bolander in that show. What do you remember about the Jerry Bolander fight? Because Bolander with Lions Den and wrestling, he wore shoes. Is it just very different in jiu-jitsu? What were your feelings on this fight? Was it a challenge?
Yeah, the funny thing about this tournament is this challenge is that the producer of the show, Nelson Monteiro, I think so.
Okay.
Uh, he offered me the main event, and I took longer to respond. And then when I returned to because I went to talk to Carson, I asked him his permission to fight, and he said okay. And then when I returned to speak about the fight, Nelson already closed the fight between Renzo and Eugenio, and my fight was the co-main event. Was the
Yeah.
one fight before the final, the last fight. And the funny thing is that if my fight was the main event, I wouldn't fight. I got lucky that my fight was one fight before because start a big fight
Yeah.
uh,
It would have been
in the
canceled.
audience. Yeah, the fans of Eugenio Tadeu fought the fans of Renzo. It was a big fight in the arena, and after that they forbid Vale Tudo in Rio de Janeiro for many years.
Yeah. Now, what
But
do you remember about that day? Because that was chaos. The all the fans were up against the fence screaming, and there were guys in the audience trying to kick Henzo while he was fighting and things like this. And during your match, it was a little more calm, but still kind of a crazy Brazilian crowd. And then in the States, it's much more controlled. What do you prefer? Do you
I
miss
prefer
the
the
old?
control.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't miss that, man. It's not good. It's not. I fought Bolander. Bolander was on the main contenders in UFC middleweight.
Yeah.
I think he won a tournament there.
Yeah.
He and Frank Shamrock. So I asked the organization, I asked Nelson to bring Frank Shamrock or Jerry Bolanda, one of those big guys in UFC, and Jerry accepted. And then I fought him. Was after Tom Erickson wanted to fight a wrestler for my size, and it was a good fight, and I did great. And after the fight, I was so happy and so relaxed, and I went there to watch the last fight. I was, among the, in the crowd, among my friends, watching the fight, and they start the big fight. So, man, it's not good. I don't think it's good for the sport. I wouldn't get involved in a fight like that. And then I sat back. I had already fought at the day. I think things must be solved inside the ring, not outside the ring.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
That was
so it was
crazy
so.
because
Yeah, it was crazy. It was the first page of the newspaper in Brazil, and the governor of the state of Rio de Janeiro was in the arena. The mayor of the city of Rio de Janeiro was in the arena, and because of that, the Vale Tudo was forbid.
wow.
Uh, for many years, more than 10 years,
Sure.
in,
Sure.
in my city. So it was very bad.
Now I heard a rumor that if you remember when you fought Erickson, this was a tournament. You fought Erickson for 40 minutes in the finals in Mars. And the main event of that show was a big fight of Henzo versus Oleg. And
Yes.
you used the same technique to finish Bolander that Henzo used to finish Oleg, which is the kick,
Yeah.
the kick from the guard. I heard a story that you didn't practice that or you didn't like this move too much before, but then when you saw Kenzo use it effectively, that you started to train it more. Is that correct? Is that true?
No, it's wrong, my friend.
Okay.
This is a rumor.
Okay.
Carson loved that kick, and I used to train many times. Kicking bags. I sit in front of the bag and I kick bags for many times training that much before my fight against Tom Erickson.
Okay.
I actually I trained that for 91. When I fought in 91, I was training kick from the bottom.
Okay.
So for me, it was natural to kick from the bottom because the best guard at the time, till my time, was Carson. Carson is the best guard from the bottom, playing from the bottom in the Vale Tudo. And João Alberto Barreto as well. Carson and João Alberto was the best players from the bottom. And Carson loved the kick from the bottom. He taught us a lot of tricks. So one of them was the kick from the bottom. So I was practicing that many years before my fight.
Okay. I'm glad you cleared that up. So Henzo basically was lucky to do it first in competition.
Yeah, Enzo was a great fight, and probably he was training as well. So
Yeah.
Carson was his uncle. So same family. Probably they knew a lot of things
Yeah.
together. Like
Okay.
he know the secrets.
Sure. I appreciate that a great deal. So now, after this time period, at some point, Zemario Sperry, your teammate, goes to Abu Dhabi in 1998. Were you with
Yes.
him? Obviously, maybe you helped him prepare, but you didn't go. Why didn't you go?
No, the truth is, Mario, it was the summer of 98. The summertime in Brazil was a vacation time, super hot. People don't like, at the time, people didn't train that, you know,
And
people train, but
for the Americans, summer in Brazil is like January, February in this time frame, not
yes,
our summer.
exactly. Yeah,
So just so
summer
that they know.
different season,
Yeah.
opposite season. Like
Yeah.
summer there is the mid of the year. Here is the beginning from December to February, March.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I just on my vacation time, so I didn't help Mario training. I don't know how did he did it do, but he helped himself. It was a new tournament. I think it was the first, right?
Yeah,
So they didn't know what's gonna be. Told me, people invite me to go to fight, and so we thought would be easy for him. Like Mario was a great fighter, and actually being his friend, I wasn't worried. I thought, well, Mario go there to kick some asses, and go get the prize. And I
so
didn't realize it would became one of the biggest shows in grappling, maybe the biggest one
yeah,
anyway. But at the time, he helped himself. He trained by himself, and he did great. But I didn't go with him. So the next year, after the first show in '99, everybody wanted to go
yeah.
because they realized it was a very nice show, super nice, big show, well organized. And in '99, everybody wanted to go to fight, including me.
Yep. Now let me ask you a couple of rumors. Nelson Montero, I think, was the name that was the first guy to connect with the Abu Dhabi people. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so. That's what I heard, and
Okay,
and I believe that they built the Pentagon with a
from Abu Dhabi. Yeah,
sponsorship from Abu Dhabi, but because of the mass, they canceled. They didn't want to do more Vale Tudo competition, so they changed for the grappling competition because I believe because of the risk.
yeah,
So and then I think that the story, and then they start to do the show in Abu Dhabi. I heard, I don't know if it's right, but I heard that in Abu Dhabi it couldn't happen Vale Tudo shows at the time, so that's why they did in Brazil.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Sheikh Taknoon, his father was the president and king or whatever the title is, but he was the leader of the country, and he was against the fighting. And also, they have weird laws there where, like, you can't fist fight in the streets, or you go to jail immediately and things. So, yeah, there was an atmosphere of like, are people going to go do MMA or fighting in Abu Dhabi, and it was never going to happen. Not while the original king was alive. That's my impression. I
yeah, that
went
was
in
too bad that.
'99.
Yeah, that was too bad that they didn't do it Pentagon anymore because it was a big show. They pay very well. The payment was good. And the next show, Nelson told me, man, you can choose, you know, whoever you want to fight. So then I'm gonna, you know, looking for the best fighters in the world of my division to fight. So
Wow.
then they cancel. So
Yeah,
it was too bad.
yeah, that is a shame. Now, I'm going to ask you: did you get paid more for Pentagon or for the UFC title fight?
UFC,
Yeah, okay, okay. There's good. It's good for UFC
100%.
because UFC sometimes can be very bad in paying. That's why I wanted to double check with you.
Yes, I know what I mean. Yeah.
So now we get to Abu Dhabi in 1999, and you went in '99. Is that correct? The second year?
Yes, first time. Yeah, first time I went in '99,
Okay, and you had
and
a very good performance. Now, this is actually the thing is you weren't really in the best weight class for you, were you? Were you in a weight class that was maybe too big for you, or would you have preferred to
yeah,
be in
but
the?
yeah, it was like didn't have too many classes, so we try to accommodate everybody.
Okay,
So then I went I think he fought 98. And Liborio fought, no, Liborio, no, I think Amauri fought 88 or Liborio fought 88. I don't remember.
yeah, Laborio.
Yeah. And then, I was okay. It was good. So, but what bothers me wasn't the weight. What bothers me at the time, what bothered me at the time was the jet lag, the difference of time. So
Okay,
because we arrived, I think 2 days or 3 days, 2 nights or 3 nights before the fight starts.
Yeah.
So and then was I think it was the first time I fought to the difference. I fought in US that the difference of time was better for me, but the
Yeah.
opposite side is harder. And then I suffered. I didn't sleep at all. The second fight of the second night of the fight. So the first night I didn't sleep well, but the second I didn't sleep at all.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So and then when I went to fight the semifinal, with no sleep at all. So it bothers me. So bothers my performance. I got very disappointed to lose, and I even didn't return to fight for the third place. I was completely, you know,
Yeah. Let's talk about
uh,
that. Let me take it step by step. So in the first fight of the tournament, you fought a British guy named Dexter Casey, and
yes,
you obviously you won. But what do you remember about Dexter in that fight?
not that much, not that much.
Yeah.
I don't remember that much. I remember I fought the first fight against someone,
Yeah. It was
uh,
Dexter. It was
Dexter,
a
and
black
the
kid
second
from England.
fight I fought Ricardo Almeida. That was a
Right.
tough fight,
Now
and
Almeida
then I
is a Henzo student, and he had fought the
yes,
first year, and Henzo and his team were kind of VIPs in Abu Dhabi. Did you feel a little
yes,
pressure
yes.
facing him? And also, Almeida was young
No,
and kind of like to play tough guy. Did he try to intimidate you, or did
no,
you know him
no.
before?
Yeah, well, not that much, but Ricardo was super nice guy, super polite. He was a sportive man. And that was a tough fight. He's a very good fighter. He was a brown belt, I was a black belt, or more, I had more experience. And I think he got his black belt after the fight because he did great. And before the tournament, I mean. But it was a very good fight. So it
Yeah, he's
was,
one of the best in Abu Dhabi history, because he went back many times also. So
yes,
that's
yes, he
definitely a
got a lot of
fantastic win.
chances.
That's a great win for you. Now,
Yes,
um,
but
as a
I was first day I was, rested enough. I mean, I haven't slept at all. I haven't slept the whole night. Sleep just a few hours, but it was enough for the first day. First day 2 fights was good. I mean, it was 3 fights,
yeah,
three
yeah. So
fights, I think so.
yeah, in the third. So the first. Now you talked earlier about in the jiu-jitsu tournaments in Brazil, the rivalries with Gracie Barra and Carlson Gracie team and all the different schools and things. Did this remind you of that? Because now you fight Henzo, student Almeida, and then in the next match you go on to fight a Hoyler, a student or Hoyler teammate, Salo Ribeiro. And Ribeiro is another guy, high level world champion. Talk about that fight. Have you ever fought Salo before?
No, I fought solo. No, I think I fought solo in '98 in
Okay.
the Worlds. It was nine. Yeah, I fought him in '98 in the semifinal of the Worlds, and I lost by advantage. It was a very tie fight. So I didn't try much, and then I made a mistake. I shoot double leg, and he ran to my back, but didn't score anything. I could reverse, that was a just advantage.
Okay.
Very so, and then I lost him. And then I know I could, you know, did much better than in Abu Dhabi, and that's why I got, disappointed and upset. So I didn't sleep at all. I was very well trained at the time, and that's it.
Yeah, no, I understand. It is a tough trip. And now here, do you think, looking back at it, did you make a little
And those guys arrive at 10 days before the tournament, at
yeah,
least.
yeah, to go have
All those
fun
guys.
and be
So it
VIP?
yeah, that's made a difference. Made all difference if you're rested. I know that I used to fight in Japan, and And I fought next year in 2000 Abu Dhabi. So
Yeah.
it's since you don't get arrested, it changed a lot.
Now, let me ask you, when you lost to Saulo, they asked you to come back and fight a fight for fourth and third place. And this is when you said that you weren't going to. You were supposed to fight Regan Machado, another legend in jiu-jitsu. And you didn't fight. Now, third and fourth place is where the money starts in Abu Dhabi. So
Yeah,
do
but I didn't realize that I would lose my third place, So I was completely upset because of the fight, because of my performance wasn't that I expected. And I am kind of guy I don't perform. I used to perform better than I train.
Oh, okay.
I kind of guy that I work very well under pressure. So then my performance wasn't, good and got upset. And I said, you know what? I don't want to fight anymore. And I told him, hey, I'm going to give you the third place. Go there. And I thought I'm going to get the fourth place. And I didn't realize about the prizes. When I involved in fights, money not coming to the mind. And
Yeah.
I regret very much, to don't fight just because Ricardo get in the fight and he submitted Higan, So that's my regret because I should have fought,
Yeah.
But it wasn't because anything else about my disappointment. I was upset, and I didn't, I kind of, I, Higan passed at the time. I was resting after the fight, and I told him, hey, man, I'm going to give you the third place. Go there, no problem. And, I had a lot of respect for Higan and his family, but it wasn't nothing more than that.
Yeah. No, I think, I respect the money. Once you're competing, it's about the competition and the honor. But at the time, the money, I don't want to say you needed the money, but it's like you're a professional. You're
No,
also trying to make
don't,
money.
don't. I mean, I regret because of, Ricardo getting and not because Ricardo won Higan, but because Higan didn't get what I gave to him. I thought he gonna get the third place by, with
Yeah,
no fight. I mean,
sure.
I wouldn't fight him, so they wouldn't replace me. If I knew they're gonna replace me, but Higan didn't get the third place, And I thought, you know what, the fourth place is okay for me. I don't have motivation to fight. I never fought for the third place before in my life,
Yeah, okay.
Fight for the third place for me had no motivation, At the time, even that, even more. So I never fought for the third place. Third place was I was losing. So in my mind, I fought for the first place. I had to fight for the first place, you know.
Sure.
Uh, but if I realize, and then when I got my prize, they said, no, you don't get a prize because it was the fifth place.
Oh,
And I said, oh my God, I should have fought.
yeah, that
Should have
hurts.
fought.
Now you
Yeah,
said
that
so,
hurts. That's when I realized I should have fought, man.
and this is how you know that Murillo is a real competition fighter, because you said you don't sleep, and then the next day you fight in the absolute. So they invite you into the absolute, and you fought uh, two matches there. A tough guy named Ivan Salavery, a Matt Hume student. Do you remember this fight?
Oh yeah, Salaver, yeah, super nice guy, tough guy. Yeah, I remember. I remember fighting him. Actually, it was the first. I think it was the same day of the finals, and then
Yeah.
I fought the absolute because I had no money, and then I run after the money, the prize. I think I realized that. I don't remember at all, but I fought the absolute.
Yeah.
So
Before you fought Salivary, and
because
then
actually because it was a new opportunity as well. So it was starting from the beginning, so I could be a champion. So my division I already lost, so That's why, no motivation to fight for the third place at all.
Yes, I understand. Now, after beating Salivary, you ran into Rico Rodriguez, a huge guy, and also a champion in Abu Dhabi the year before. So he knew the timing and the time system and things like that. What do you remember about that
Yeah,
match?
I was tough. I was already tired from the fights before because I fought the semifinal, and then I don't remember if it was the next day or the same day. Anyway,
Well,
but
you
I
fought
fought.
Salivary too.
Yeah, no, I know. Salaver was the same day, but I think it was the same day of the finals, and the absolute was after that.
Yeah.
Was 2 days competition. Yeah, so yeah, I know sleep. I didn't sleep. I didn't have a good night of sleep. I didn't have a good night of sleep, and then I fought. Man, I want to be a champion. So and then I fought, but I was tired against Rico. I think I did well, but it was bigger than me, and I was tired, so it was harder because of that.
Now, the guy who won the tournament is a guy we talked about also a little bit was Roberto Triven.
Traveling, yes,
Triven.
yes.
What do you remember about this? Because there's stories that uh, Triven fought some jiu-jitsu guys that maybe didn't go 100% against him. Would you have fought Triven 100%?
Yes, if I would fight him, I would fight him 100%. So I used to fight him in the tournaments in Rio. So it would be a normal fight against him. He's a tough. He always was one of my toughest opponents. But it would be harder because I was super tired the day. But I will fight. I would fight 100% at
Okay,
all.
very interesting. So, how did you beat Traven in tournaments before?
Yes, I beat him. I think 2 times before that, and he beat me once.
Okay,
It was
very
even. It was even. I think it was that. I don't remember the score, but I
yeah.
I, I, I beat him before 100%. And I
All
lost as well. I lost. I remember I lost at least one fight for him.
yeah. No, excellent guys. All of that's the amazing thing about Abu Dhabi is we got to see kind of rematches from the Brazilian tournaments that we never saw before. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
and that's why even maybe even now I think the champions are usually Brazilians. You know what I mean? It's because it is the most advanced stuff that's going on. So for sure, the competition you were through was very tough. Now, so Abu Dhabi was we say bittersweet in English, which is a little bit sad, but it's a nice experience to go over there. You go back the next year. What was your thinking going back the next year to go? You want to go be champion?
Yeah. I knew I could be a champion. I knew I could do better. 99 was an excellent year for me. It was. I fought only 3 times the worlds because when they created worlds, I was already 30 years old. So it was late for me. But I fought 96, 98, and 99. 97 was fighting Vale Tudo.
Okay,
In 98, I returned from the Vale Tudo time from 97. And I was in my best shape, but I was good. But 99 was 100%, 99 for the Worlds, I was, man, I was in the great shape. And I won the Worlds and I won the open class in the Nationals a couple months after. And they invite me to the tournament in 2000 to the Abu Dhabi, and I returned there to fight again. But one of the things that bother as well for me, not only the jet lag, but the the way they score. In the time of the fight, you didn't know how much about that. Didn't have a screen saying how much time, how many,
Yeah.
uh, and the score of the fight. You fight, you fought completely lost. You didn't know if you were leading or not. So I saw at the time some fights that they give different results, fights like the same. And the referees, they wasn't prepared at all. Like they say, there was kennel trainers. they study a little bit to be a referee, so they didn't know about martial arts. So and then it bothers because it was a great uh, championship, great tournament with one prizes at the time, and we were very well treated. But during the fight, there was this, uh,
Yeah.
there was
Problem.
this problem. You don't know the points, and you don't know. You didn't know the points. You didn't know the time of the fight, so you lost. You fight a little bit lost.
Yeah. Everybody says the same, remembers the same thing. That's when afterwards, I became a judge to help change this, and we got like John Donahue from Australia to judge, and the Bulgarian guys, the Finnish guys, and we changed the judging because of this reason, because they needed help with the judging. It was all world class except the judging. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I
Now,
think they did their best, but
yeah,
wasn't enough because they didn't know how to do it. So
yeah, I don't blame the Sheik either, because you're doing a big tournament and he wants to have people he trusts for the judging.
yes, yes,
But if they weren't prepared, they weren't prepared. So we thankfully they realized that and got people who they earned their trust and things. So, I judged Hoyler versus Eddie Bravo. I was at the table for this many years later.
wow,
So, um,
yeah.
yeah, I was part of the change of what you're talking about. So I appreciate that. It's true. Now you fought in 2000 a very tough guy. You fought Mike Van Arsdale. And do you remember Van Arsdale?
Yes, yes. I remember him. He was very good in wrestling, and I pull guard and play guard. But I think they miss 1 point for me. I lost 1 point to pull guard, but I think he lost 1 point as well.
For backing up.
So yeah, it was even. Nothing happened that much. Uh, I tried to submit him, I'll flip him, but it was a tough fight. But
Yeah.
at least they should give more another time.
Yeah. Now, do you remember John Peretti, the matchmaker with the UFC at one point, and also with the Extreme Fighting?
Yes, yes. I think John Peretti was the guy who took me to UFC in 2000.
Yeah, yeah. Now, John Peretti said Mike Van Arsdale was probably the strongest guy that he'd ever also rolled with. Peretti was a matchmaker and also a fighter. Um, so is that true? Was Van Arsdale impressive to you, or do you remember being like wow with him?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. He was, he did better than I thought on the ground, being a wrestler. Uh, but on the ground, things change. So, and I play jiu-jitsu, so I used to play jiu-jitsu with the strong guys, and I didn't feel that much. I,
Okay,
nothing that impressed me.
okay.
But he
Now,
was he, he was a great fighter, 100%.
did you see his fight with Vanderlei Silva?
Yes, I saw his fight.
Now, was that something that interested you doing the IVC in Brazil, or was it something that maybe they didn't pay enough, or why did you never fight Vale Tudo in those years?
Say it again. Why
Well,
didn't I fight?
Vale Tudo, 97 to 2000, you were only grappling. and you
Oh
didn't
yeah,
do and the big show in Brazil was
97.
IBC.
Yes, yeah, IBC. Yeah, so it didn't have a good, good offer for me. I
Okay.
was involved in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. 98, I returned to fight Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In 99 as well. In 2000, after I mean, 97,
You fought Bolander and then you stopped.
after Bolanda, I went to the UFC to watch a fight. I don't remember which fight it was. I went there to watch, but I met one of the producers, the a small guy, short guy,
Art Davey.
Art Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, David told, man, I want to bring you, you're gonna fight one of the best guys. Like I don't remember who was on top at the time. And then I saw, man, great, that's gonna do it. And then they sold UFC.
Okay.
And then I was looking to a room to fight in UFC. It only happened in 2000.
Yes.
So, and
Now,
then I got involved in 98 and 99 in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
okay. Now, you mentioned you went to UFC. Did you go with Omri Bitech when Bitech fought?
No, no, no. I went in 97. I think it was Carlos Barreto and Vitor, when Vitor fought,
Ken Cabot,
no, he fought after that, the match with
Ferrosa,
the
or Couture?
coach,
Okay.
coach,
Yeah.
Randy, he fought Randy, yeah. And Carlon fought another guy, I forgot his name.
Okay. Yes, but
It
Barreto
was
was.
in Alabama or
Yeah.
Mississippi, something like that. It was south of US.
Yes, and the UFC was still small then. Is did
Yes.
you weren't impressed too much?
No, it was a nice show, very nice show.
Okay.
So I want to fight in UFC. I wanted to fight in UFC, but it didn't happen till 2000.
So by the time you said John Peretti had taken over for Art Davey as the matchmaker, and you returned to UFC April 2000. You fight a Japanese guy named Yoji Anjo. What do you
Yes,
remember
yes.
about your UFC debut?
Yeah, they after the Abu Dhabi, I received a message from, I think it was John Peretti, but I didn't speak good English, so I asked one of my students to help me, and they asked me to fight for the belt against Tito, but it was like a short notice. It was, but I wasn't training at all, like with, Vale Tudo. I was
Sure.
training with no gi. So I need more time to get, in shape to fight a guy that was really in shape. And I told, asked my manager to told him like, okay, give me one fight, and the second fight I fight for the belt. So give me just one fight, they let me fight, and the second fight I fight for the belt, because it will be a big an advantage for me to fight like that, just a short notice, no prepare. So
Yeah.
it's not
No,
good. It wasn't good for me. I need more time to prepare myself well to fight for the belt,
for
you
sure.
know, especially a tough guy like Tito. I knew Tito was a tough guy. I saw him fighting Abu Dhabi this year. And I fought, I saw his fight in UFC. He was fighting UFC. He was fighting straight in UFC, like many,
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
fights in the row. So, and I need some time to prepare myself to fight. And then they gave me the Yoji Anju, but they didn't give me the second fight for the belt.
So
So
now Chuck was the second fight that you fought.
no, the thing is, I signed with the Japanese franchising of UFC,
Okay.
and then I would fight only in Japan. So I fought in 2000, April 2000. And then I supposed to fight again in Japan, but the next show they didn't put me to fight.
Okay. Now I see you fought in Pancrase. You fought Sane
Yes, and
Kikuta.
then Sanai Kikuta, and then the the company that hired me, he was they were worried about to lose me for the big shows that were born in happening in Japan.
Yeah,
And
like
then
Pride.
he gave me, yeah, he gave me a fight in the same contract in a different organization. They paid the purse, but they put me to fight because I was complaining that I had to fight. And then I fought Kikuta in Pancrase. Kikuta was the only fighter I think that accept fight me in Pancrase organization. The guys from my division they didn't want to fight me, and then I fought Kikuta. It was a tough match, but I won. And then after that, the company they had the license of UFC. I think they broke.
Yeah. Now Kikuta also is very interesting. Kikuta is the only Japanese guy to win Abu Dhabi, and
Yes.
he beat Saulo Ribeiro. Were you were there? You saw that, so you knew who he was.
Yeah, but I think the year that he beat Saulo wasn't there.
Oh, okay, okay. So it was something that you didn't see him live. Okay,
Yeah, I think he beat Saulo after our fights.
okay. Oh, okay. That's
I don't
possible.
know.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah, yeah,
2001. Yeah.
yeah. 2001, 100%.
Okay.
2001.
Okay. So you're right. And my memories, you know, you think I got punched in the head. Now you
No
return to
problem.
UFC, um, and you fight Chuck. Chuck is big, and you're still fighting at 205 pounds. This is the match, I think, even though you fought Erickson and the weight was something that was never a problem for you. After this, you decided to drop down to 185. Talk about that decision. Talk about the fight with Chuck.
Yeah, in 2001, they asked me, so the company that hired me in Japan, they broke, and I had uh, no fight at all. In 2000, Zuffa bought the show, and they invited me to fight Chuck. Uh, and I said yes, and I prepared myself, and I went. It was a tough fight, Chuck, and I was, I never cut weight, so the before the fight, they told my manager that I could fight if I want for the belt in the middleweight, and I thought it would be hard to cut weight because we don't have at the time we didn't have at the time the culture to lose weight, to cut weight.
Yeah.
So I never cut weight before, and I for me was was kind of impossible to cut weight. I didn't realize it would be so easy. But it was my weight was around 200 pounds. That was light for light middleweight. The guys fight around 200 to 220.
Yeah. They make
You know,
205 at the weight, and then the next day they're 220.
yeah. So for me was an advantage. But I use something that scared me. So I could do. I think I did great against Chuck. Actually, a lot of people think I won the fight, and they invite me after the fight or to get a rematch against Chuck or to fight for the belt in the middleweight. And then I want a belt. I want the opportunity to fight for the belt.
Sure.
And if I fight Chuck again, nothing, I didn't have a guarantee that I would have the same performance that I had the first fight. And even if I beat Chuck, I had to fight Tito to get the belt. So in my mind, I went straight to I would go straight for the belt in the middleweight, and then I return later for the light heavyweight. So my plan was keep the belt for the middleweight and then return to fight for the belt in light heavyweight. But
Very
I didn't
good.
have time to put in practice. So
but you had a plan. That's a nice plan. Now, uh, how was your weight cut to 185? Did you
Man, it
struggle the
was
first time?
easier. Man, it was easier than I thought. I just made a diet, and I didn't cut the weight in the day before the weigh-in. So I fought with 185,
Okay.
186 maybe. At the day of the fight, I was at 186. I was completely, you know, lean, like, no fat at all. So I dropped too much.
Yeah. This is
So, and then I learned to keep my weight and cut the weight, because to fight the first time, I just made a hard diet and I got completely skinny. And I keep my strength so I could do well. But then later, I learned how to cut the weight and keep my muscles, you know,
yeah.
the same weight.
Yeah. No, I understand now. Mene is a tough guy. I was at this fight. I was there with you. You were with Marcelo Tetel,
Yes,
and Liborio, and those guys were all there with you in your corner. Uh, and I remember you so happy with the belt after the fights and things. It was very nice to see you.
yeah,
It's one of you don't smile too much at competitions.
no, no
So
competition don't smile, only in the end.
yeah, and it was good to see you win the belt. Dave is a friend of mine also. I also interviewed him.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he's a nice guy. He's a tough guy.
what do you remember about the fight with him? Was he uh, difficult because he's much shorter than you?
Yeah, he was well-rounded as well. He could do everything. Pat Miletich was a student of one of my best friends, Sergio Monteiro.
Uh-huh.
Pat was his student, and all guys from his team was well-rounded. They trained on the ground. So when I took Dave down, he played well from the bottom. So it was a tough fight, but I was very confident in my striking game because I had to test my striking game against Chuck Liddell. It gave me a lot of confidence. So my striking game was sharp, and my ground game was, even better. So I was very confident to fight against a guy from the same division than I and same conditions. So everything worked pretty well this time.
That's amazing. Now, besides Royce, I think you were the first Brazilian champion, right?
No, Royce was the first.
Yeah,
I
Royce
think
first.
Vitor won a small tournament. Marco Ruas won a tournament as
Oh,
well.
okay, but belt champion was you were the first guy.
Belt, yeah, belt champion. I was the first Brazilian to get a belt,
Now,
100%.
you reminded me of a question I wanted to ask you about Vitor. What is your opinion of Vitor? Because it seems like you were old Carlson Gracie team, and then maybe Carlson bringing Vitor along, uh, like maybe treated him more special, or was there sometimes where and then Vitor leaves and kind of made his own teams and things. Are you do you like Vitor as a person? What is the truth there?
Yeah, I have nothing against Vitor. We're not close friends, but I have respect for him. He came from the different generation than mine. I even trained him, coach him against Tito. Uh, it's okay. I have nothing to say bad about him. He's a professional fighter. And Carson fell in love about him. Vitor, 100%. He's one of the guys that I had opportunity to train. He has skills like everything he does well. He's a great boxer, great on the ground, great wrestler. He can do everything. So, yeah. But it's a different generation, and Carson really treat him uh, very, very well. Like Carson was in love, so and
So
loves about Carson couldn't see a good fighter, a young good fighter. He want to push it with potential to go to the top. So Carson dreamed big, and when he saw guys like that, he could he realized he could push these guys to the top.
Now there was a lot, obviously Carlson and you guys had to leave Carlson and you formed BTT later. I don't want to talk too much about the politics, but I thought Vitor might be part of the reason because Carlson loved Vitor too much and kind of forgot the old guys. Am I wrong?
No, the thing is, Carson was insecure that Carson was a very good guy, but good person. But he was influenced by another people putting his head that his main students gonna leave his team wasn't true. And he was living in
Chicago.
US, and we were training in my academy instead to train in his academy, but it's only because of the logistic. My academy was closer and easier to park, and doesn't have reason to go to us to train in his academy. And because of that, his insecurity, he wrote somebody wrote him a contract that didn't say his obligations. So people disagree. I disagree, and I asked him to change the contract. Because I had a very familiar relationship. I pay him. I always pay him with no contract. I pay him 20% hours with no contract at all. If Carson brought a boxing coach, I would pay the boxing coach like he brought Steve Petramale. Who else you gonna send me to pay? Gonna pay. So, but he changed the relationship to a business relationship. So as long as you change the relationship, you have to negotiate. And Carson refused to renegotiate the contract. I told him that if you want to put a contract, let's go to attorney, made a fair contract, because the only thing that the contract said that we should pay 20% of everything, fight sponsorship, but and the obligation of Carson was only let us train in his academy. He didn't say how many hours he had to train us, so he didn't accept to change that. In the middle of this discussion appeared the invitation to go to UFC. And then I went back to Carson and said, hey, Carson, there is a fight coming up, UFC, I cannot refuse. Let's go with me to Japan. I fight there, I will fight there, I pay you 20%. And then after that, you keep discussing the contract. So I couldn't see any tough reason for him to act so hard with me. I always prove my loyalty for him. And then he said, I won't go if you don't sign a contract. He said, so I cannot lose the fight. And I went. And then he put me out. He sent me out by internet, not in person.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was in Japan, and my partners before the fight, my partner didn't told me that. In the end of the fight, the Japanese asked me, what are you going to do now that you don't belong to Carson team anymore? I said, what? And then
Wow.
Tetel, my manager, said, no, let me answer that. And then he answered, and then he explained it after that. They didn't let me know before the fight to don't bother my emotional mind, my mind before the fight. And then when I returned to Brazil, I went straight to talk to Carson, and I tried to change his mind, but he couldn't, accept that he was wrong. And he sent me away, and I keep trying, but and then I stopped trying when when the public meeting, I went to shake his hand. He refused to shake my hand in public. So then I said, man, now it's stop to try. If you want to try, you have to run after me, and
Okay.
and then people come, I I moved to my academy at all, and then people follow me. So and then he sent out some guys like Liborio, Bebel, Zemario, and then guys start to appear one by one. So I couldn't do anything, but it's the biggest mistake Carson did,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that's a lot of emotion. I'm sorry, you don't
No,
deserve
yeah,
this.
it was. was emotional, very hard for me at the time. Very, talking about emotional, it was very super hard time for me. Till now, I still, my mind still accept that he acts so, he let people control his mind. And but for me, the end was, even Carson, he was offend us, a lot. Made a T-shirt with our name, like making fun of our names, and always doing same bad thing about us. But even that, the end for me completely end. The when he asked to, he went to try to train Chuck Liddell before my fight.
Oh boy.
And the worst that they didn't accept that. They didn't accept him to train him. For my lucky.
Yeah, but he tried.
Anyway,
Now let
yeah,
me
he
ask you.
tried. Then for me, it was the biggest disappointment. And then I kind of, I no more return. So for this time,
Now Carlson
and
is
then I
no longer.
follow my way,
Yeah,
and
no, you
then
went.
we found Brazilian top team, and Vitor came after he put me out, and some guys came. And then even Brazilian top team, we broke up in 2001. Some people moved, but they returned, like Carlão and Paulão Filho, Arona, they returned.
Uh,
Vitor was the only one that didn't return at the time, but he returned in 2004 when he had a fight against Tito.
Now you never. Carlson passed away. You never reconciled with him. You never fixed the problem with Carlson, even later, many years.
No, he didn't talk to me. Uh, so he didn't
Okay,
have a, a
a
I mean,
closure, a good ending.
moods.
Yeah.
We didn't have mood for both sides. I think so. I was disappointed. He was disappointed. He thought he was right. I thought I was right. So unfortunately, we didn't
Okay.
have a
Okay.
good conversation then.
That's kind of sad. Now I know we have only a few minutes left, so we're gonna finish with your UFC title defense, and thankfully, at least the breakup didn't affect your career. You're now at the high point of your career, and you make a defense against another wrestler, a silver medalist, and a guy who was from Randy Couture's school and teammate Matt Lindland. And this fight is kind of one of the craziest fights in UFC history because at the end of the day, you had to beat him twice. What do you remember about this fight?
Man, this fight was crazy. My camp, I got everything. Everything that happens well during my camp against Dave Mene didn't work well. During my camp for fight uh,
With Lindland.
Matt Lindland. So I got an infection on my finger, and it bothers me a lot. A lot of secretion, and I couldn't grip. My
Yeah.
grip was affected when I punch. My finger hurts a lot, and I took antibiotic, a lot of medicine, but didn't fix it. So it bothers my camp. So when I went to fight, I was a little bit insecure because I didn't know how gonna be. Matt Lindland was an undefeated guy, silver medalist of Greco-Roman wrestling, whatever. Tough guy, and man. But the truth is that I didn't feel anything during the fight, and my performance was perfect at the night. It was a night that maybe when everything happens really really well. So, and I supposed to be a very tough fight, and I think before the middle of the first round, I was already mounting. He arrived in the armbar that I do, like one of the specialty. The armbar, reverse armbar, he rose, and I catch the arm, belly up, and I was about to submit, and the Big John sent me to stop. I think Big John got confused because Matt Lindland moved his hand. he said he didn't tap anyway, but Big John got confused and stopped the fight, like touched my chest and released his arm. And Big John got confused, tried to put the arm on my hands anymore, but Matt Linda stand up. And Big John sent me to my corner, and I got completely devastated, man, disappointed and frustrated, and said, "Come on, man." And then he sent me. He restarted the fight. Man, it was crazy. This was crazy. It was.
Yeah, at least you
I
beat him
was
again,
from
because
the
if imagine how bad it would be if Lindland wins the fight after this, because you already won,
yes.
so you made it perfectly clear though.
Yeah, if Matt Linden won the fight after that, I had to fight again. He's gonna give me a rematch, but even that rematch is another fight,
Yeah,
you know. So it wouldn't be fair anyway. But thanks God, then I could won the fight in the third round. I got a very upset. I think it was the first fight ever that I got upset during the fight, you know. So I was very upset because I knew I won the fight the first time, and I had to fight again. And then, you know, in the beginning, I lose my focus. The When he restart the fight in the first round, I lose my focus. I try to you know to return to my focus, but it was hard.
yeah,
And during the break, my corner, my teammates, they tried to calm me down, you know, come down, relax. And I second round, I returned a little bit better, but I still upset, you know. And the third fight, I think I put my mind on track, and I could do everything perfect. So it was one of my greatest performance ever.
for sure. Against a tough guy, and also against the referee. It's like you're
Yeah, you
fighting two
know.
guys.
But the truth is that I know Big John. You know, I don't think he did on purpose. I think he got involved in the situation, you know, and he got confused, and he didn't know what to do. I think it was the first time he passed something like that, you know,
Yeah,
a situation like that, and then he did his best, but his best was enough for me.
yeah, and Lindland
Thanks God
is
I won the fight.
and Lindland is a competitor, so when he gets an opportunity, he took an opportunity to make things crazy, I think.
Yeah, I think he got a second chance, you know, and he tried to enjoy to enjoy it during the fight. He didn't have any problem with his mind. You know, I lost my focus. I got
Mm-hmm.
emotional, frustrated, but he didn't. You know, he just got one more. He received one more chance during the fight.
Yeah,
So for him it was good. For me it was bad.
yeah.
But thanks God everything worked well.
Thank God, and that is one of the best moments in the early UFC parts of the middleweight championships, for sure. Very memorable. Murilo, uh, you asked for an hour and 20 minutes because you have to go teach a class. We are at the hour and 20
Yes.
minutes, so I'm going to let you go. Maybe we will connect and finish the rest of the career and continue to talk later. It's been great to catch up with you. We still haven't got to talk about Milton Vieira and some of the other students and things that you brought up and that you're responsible for. So maybe in the next coming weeks we can hook up again.
My pleasure. I'm sorry I had to leave, you know, but I'm super glad to be able to have this time I'm glad that you invite me for your show, for the podcast. And, anytime, let's do it again. My pleasure.
Thank you very much. You were always classy and you're still classy. Thank you so much, champion. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Goodbye. I'll talk to you soon.